They shoved my face into the sidewalk so hard I could taste dust and burnt concrete hands twisting behind my back. Metal cuffs biting down while four voices shouted different orders at the same time, and all I could think was how normal the last 5 minutes had been. How I was literally holding a cup of coffee and thinking about my kid's soccer game when it all flipped upside down. Yeah, that happened, and I remember saying it calmly at first, then louder, then through clenched teeth. I'm a federal agent, my credentials are in my jacket, please just check my ID, and nobody listened. Because once people decide who you are, facts don't really matter anymore. You know what I mean? A few minutes earlier, I'd been walking through downtown Phoenix in that weird lunchtime rush where everyone's half stressed and half checked out, suits mixed with tourists' cars inching forward, horns chirping, the sun bouncing off glass and concrete so bright it makes you squint. And I was thinking about whether I'd make the evening flight back to Minneapolis or if I'd end up sleeping in another hotel bed that all smell the same. Coffee in my right hand, sandwich in my left mind. Somewhere else, not a care in the world. And then a voice cut through it, sharp and commanding. Stop right there, hands where I can see them. And I turned instinctively because that's training, that's muscle memory, burned in over years of doing this job. And I saw 4 federal agents in tactical vests, guns not pointed but ready eyes, locked on me like I was already guilty of something. And I felt that little internal click, that moment where you run through possibilities, wrong place, wrong time. Maybe they're after someone else. Maybe there's a threat I haven't clocked yet. So I did everything right. Hands visible, movements slow, voice steady. I'm FBI, Special Agent Jordan Webb. My credentials are inside my jacket, left pocket. There's been a mistake. And instead of relief, I saw their posture stiffen, shoulders tense, fingers tighten, like I'd just said the wrong thing. One of them told me to drop the coffee, get on the ground. Another told me not to move. Another said eyes forward, and I remember thinking how absurd it was. How this is exactly what we warn people about in training. Conflicting commands that set someone up to fail. But I followed along anyway because that's how you survive these moments. You comply, you slow everything down, you narrate your movements, and when I started to reach toward my jacket inch by inch, the way I've taught rookies to do when they're dealing with nervous cops, someone yelled he's reaching, and the world exploded. There's no better way to put it. A full body hit from the side, my feet went out from under me, coffee flying sandwich skidding away, my shoulder slamming into the pavement so hard it felt like something popped. Air knocked clean out of my lungs. Stars bursting behind my eyes, and then weight, so much weight, a knee driving into my back, another on my shoulder blades, hands wrenching my arms in opposite directions, my face mashed into concrete that had been baking in the Arizona sun all morning, hot enough that my cheek burned, and I shouted again. Federal agent checked my jacket, but it was like shouting into a storm. They were gone, not hearing, not seeing, just acting. Adrenaline turned up, tunnel vision, locked in every movement, red as resistance, every sound as defiance, even though I wasn't resisting at all. Someone yelled, "Stop resisting," which would almost be funny if it wasn't so dangerous because I knew exactly what that phrase meant on paper and on camera. I knew how it would sound later, and I also knew that fighting back even verbally could get me seriously hurt or worse. So I did the one thing every black man in this country learns, whether he wants to or not, badge or no badge. I went limp. I tried to breathe with a knee, crushing my diaphragm. I focused on staying alive, on keeping my head turned so my face wasn't grinding into the ground on the image of my daughter's face, because when you're pinned down like that, your brain goes to strange places, and then the cuffs went on tight, too tight, metal clicking past the point of control into punishment, and it all kept going. Seconds, stretching into minutes, minutes into something that felt endless. People gathering around, phones out. I could hear traffic, slowing horns, honking voices, murmuring, someone gasping. And all of it was being recorded, their body cams, the bystanders' phones, every angle, every second, and still nobody checked my ID. The moment it changed is burned into my memory, not because it was dramatic, but because it was so small, so simple. One of them finally doing the obvious thing, reaching into the exact pocket I'd told them about, pulling out my credential case, opening it, and everything stopped. Like someone hit pause and I heard a quiet, stunned, "Oh, shit." The kind that carries a lot of weight, and suddenly hands were off me. Knees, lifting cuffs, fumbling, apologies half-formed and falling flat, and I pushed myself up, shoulder, screaming, wrists on fire, suit torn and stained with coffee, face scraped and bleeding, and I stood there in the middle of the sidewalk while 4 grown federal agents avoided my eyes like kids who'd just been caught doing something they couldn't undo. I didn't yell, I didn't threaten, I just said, "Call your supervisor." And when they tried to explain to smooth it over like a misunderstanding between professionals, I shut that down too, because this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a decision. A series of decisions made without verification, without curiosity, without seeing me as anything other than a description that matched my skin color and general build. Within minutes, other FBI agents arrived, took one look at me and then at them, and I watched anger flash across faces that understood exactly what had happened. Injuries were documented, witness information, collected footage secured, and I went from being a suspect to being a problem. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because what they'd done couldn't be buried. Going home was worse than the takedown. In some ways, my daughter seeing the sling, the bruises blooming purple and yellow, the marks on my wrists. Her eyes filling with tears because she couldn't reconcile the idea of her dad, the FBI agent with the image in front of her, and my ex-wife who practices civil rights law, now listening quietly and then saying, "Sue them," not angrily, not dramatically. Just matter of fact, because she knew exactly what this was. Fourth Amendment violations, excessive force, false arrest, deprivation of rights, under color of law, textbook stuff. And part of me hated that she was right because part of me still wanted to believe the badge meant something more. The case dragged on, months of depositions, motions, delays, the government offering small settlements like they were testing how badly I wanted to make it go away, and my lawyer turning them down without blinking. And when we finally got to trial, the courtroom was packed, law enforcement on both sides of the aisle. Some there to support me, others there to support the agents who said they'd made an honest mistake under pressure. And then the videos played, all 4 body cams synced up on one screen. And the room went quiet, really quiet. Because it's one thing to hear about something like this. It's another to watch it unfold in real time, to see me complying, explaining being tackled anyway. And you could feel the mood shift. You could see jurors shaking their heads, one woman wiping tears, a man clenching his jaw. And when I testified, I didn't dramatize it. I didn't need to. I talked about my career, my training, the arrests I'd made, the times I'd been on the other side of that equation, and I said what I knew to be true, that I know what reasonable force looks like. And this wasn't it, that this wasn't confusion, it was assumption, and the cross-examination of the lead agent sealed it. Him admitting he hadn't checked the surveillance photo, admitting the description was vague, admitting I didn't match key details, and when asked if he'd made the decision based primarily on race and build, he hesitated just long enough for everyone to hear the answer anyway. The jury took 5 days longer than anyone expected, and when they came back, the foreman read the verdict with a steady voice, finding in my favor on all counts. And I felt something I didn't expect. Not joy, not triumph, but a deep, exhausting sense of validation. Like finally being believed, and the damages phase came and went. Testimony about injuries, about PTSD, about the way this changed how I move through the world, how I tense up when I see flashing lights. Now, how trust doesn't come back easily, and when the final number was read, $11.2 million, the room went silent again, because it wasn't just money, it was a message. The largest civil rights verdict against federal agents in the state's history, and careers ended after that one. Fired another resigning, others reassigned. Quiet internal reviews, carefully worded statements from the Department of Justice expressing disappointment without responsibility. Policies reaffirmed instead of reformed, and life moved on in that bureaucratic way it always does. I stayed with the Bureau a couple more years and then retired early, not because I couldn't do the job, but because